can't.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Oh my goodness.
So, here we are again. Thought I'd just start it right when you're laughing.
Another week, I can't believe some of the things we say before we turn this on.
Well, I'll actually share what we were just talking about. So I told Sarah, I said, other podcasts, radio shows, whatever, they have segments, different things that they do where they have a nickname for them. So I came up with what we always do at the beginning, which is go over the bulletin covers. And I was like, we'll just call it our little bicker segment, BCCR. Bulletin Cover Comparison Reflection. So we're going to bicker. It's time to bicker here at the Church Bulletin Podcast.
Good gravy.
Oh, it's so much fun. We're going to start having a good time on here. Because, again, one of the things that different people will say from time to time is, like, could you talk about more than just the bulletin? I'm like, sure.
Sure.
So here we are. We're going to bicker.
We're going to talk about
the bulletin cover.
Which is the gospel.
I know.
Yeah.
We just had Father Ross just gave a great reflection on this in the Bible study that we do every Wednesday. Encourage you to come if you are able to in the morning. If you've never come, we had a new person this morning. It was exciting to welcome her. But, and not everybody stays for Bible study. Some people come to just Mass, and that's great.
Some people come to just Bible study.
Well, some people come to just fellowship.
Yeah.
Roll in, and then they leave. And some people come to just Bible study. Shout out to Sharon. She was unable to come today, but she usually just can come to Bible study. So, Wednesday morning there's a lot happening. So I know people work, but if you are free, feel free, come on by. We welcome everybody. Had a couple of kids at Bible study this morning too. It was kind of fun.
Birthday,
so,
yep.
Yeah, really exciting. So, this one though rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The story always does.
It truly can,
Silence my phone. Yeah. But it was interesting, and this is why the church is so wise. Like, it's amazing sometimes when you're kind of like, why do they put certain readings together, And this week, really, like, all three readings
go together.
They go together, but the message, because that's the thing. There's a message that goes with the theme when you put particular things together. And this week, the first reading is Abraham and Sarah. When it says three men, the three people, whatever, they come. A lot of times it's interpreted as angels, because they do get a prophecy at the end of this. So there's a lot more to the story before and after the bit that we get in this Sunday's gospel. So encourage everybody to go read that. But regardless, like, Abraham's hospitality is just, it's phenomenal. It's a great example of good hospitality with a good spirit of hospitality. Because sometimes, we can do things begrudgingly. And that's, while we might still do a good thing, we're not doing it in charity, right?
Well,
so,
yes,
and
we
that's
have that every week sometimes with both of us.
Well,
yes.
I was humble and actually brought that up. Like, I had to own it in front of everybody. I was like, because Martha and Mary, Lazarus's two sisters, this is early on in the story, and these are some of Jesus's closest friends.
Right.
And Mary is sitting at Jesus's feet. Martha's doing all the work. And it was funny to watch some of the folks at Bible study, like, the steam kind of come out of their ears because they're siding with Martha, like, Mary should be helping. And, when Martha points that out, Jesus is like, Martha, Martha. When Jesus says things twice, you
should pay attention.
It's getting real. But he says, I think people sometimes read it. I used to, like, another example of this would be when Peter sinks after walking on water, and it says Jesus puts him back in the boat, and he goes, "Oh, ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" I used to read Jesus as like this kind of angry person sometimes, like Peter, but there was this priest that I grew up with. Well, he was old. I was growing up. He was already grown up. I didn't grow up with him, but you get the idea. He was there, and he said one time, in confession one time, he said, "Tim, go read some of these admonishments of the Lord with like a really loving tone." And I was like, what? So I went back and read that one. Like, why did you doubt? Like, you were so close. Like, just kind of like that plea. But like this too, I was thinking about this. Like, you think about like best friends, with Martha, like, I know you, come on. And what's so beautiful is I brought this up too. You fast forward to the end of this story. Martha is the one who goes to Jesus when Lazarus dies. It's not Mary. Mary doesn't move. She just sits there Understandably so, she's grieving. Martha doesn't hesitate. She finds out Jesus is present, and she's up and she goes. And someone at Bible study pointed it out that like maybe she learned her lesson, because Jesus says here, you need only one thing. And Mary has chosen the better part. It won't be taken from her. And later, when Lazarus dies, Martha realized like she needs one thing, and it is the Lord. And she goes to him immediately, so it's just a cool thing when you see the arc of a character. And but yeah, we talked a lot about today how sometimes we can do things begrudgingly, and I talked about how sometimes when I'm sacristaning, you'll have like 20 people sitting in the church praying, and I'm running around, or you're running around, and we're setting up the altar. And sometimes I can be like Martha and be like, look at all these people who come early to Mass every week. They could absolutely sign up to be sacristans. And Jesus sometimes is like, Tim, chill. Just chill out, because it's getting done. And but it's beautiful. And so it's just, we talked a lot about the mind thing, and that's what I think Jesus is getting at here with Martha. It's like, you need only one thing. And St. John Henry Newman talks about definite service. Like, God has given us each a thing to do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that is where you don't get to just sit there and bask in the presence of the Lord. You have to do the work, but to do it being like, because I'm doing this, they're going to encounter Jesus. And God can't be outdone in generosity. So if we're generous, imagine how much more generous he'll be with us. And that's the whole thing we just had last week. Love your neighbor as yourself, but love God. You have to do both. So, and sometimes by doing one, you do the other. It's just like one of those things where you could just go on and on and on and on and on. Like it just keeps spiraling, and you get deeper, and then you start to poke the nerves of people where they're like, yeah, but what about?
So even in this, this one was always hard for me because I don't like to, I do sit, believe me, I do, but that sit and pray has always been a struggle for me. So like I was always jealous of Mary being able to do that, and I'm the Martha who was always trying to make things sure, things are that prepared or whatnot. So it is, I don't know if I talk to kids or whatever, but whenever they're doing something, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So when you're preparing things, when you're getting things ready, why are you doing that?
Exactly.
Father and I had a conversation about last week's gospel during the week here. And it was the Good Samaritan, even in his hurt or whatever, still being able to serve. So, you know what I mean? Like Martha still praying, but in that service realm.
Well, and imagine if she
being able to find where you can meet God. Like sometimes sitting in me don't.
Well, and I think it comes down to, it's like, because notice, like, Jesus doesn't say, Martha, Martha, you're not sitting here with me listening to me talk.
Right.
Like, he doesn't say that. He says, Martha, Martha, you are anxious about a great many things. Like, that's what he says to her.
Right.
And he goes, you only need one thing. And so, like, imagine if Martha had been, like, serving, but then had that mentality, like, that I was saying, like, Jesus admonishes me, being like, you should be happy that those people have come to Mass early to sit with me. And they're able to do that because you're doing what you're doing so that they can. So why, like, I've given you this task. Why are you complaining? And it's like, so that's I think the thing is, like, and some of the ladies pointed this out at Bible study, just like that mentality of service, which Abraham shows in the first reading, where he's like, please sit under this tree. I will go and prepare something for you. And he goes and like slaughters like the choice steer, like the fattened calf, if you will. And he says to, Sarah, make up some leaven cakes with the fine flour, like use the good stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, that was something that struck everybody at Bible study as well, how over the top Abraham was. And Father explained, as he does so well, he, like, I guess I can say it because he's not here, but like that guy, Father Ross, knows so much stuff. It's unreal.
Yeah.
But there was a beautiful thing that happened, and I'll post it on Facebook and Instagram. Father, there's a book that we use to kind of go through Bible study to get ready for the readings. It has the weekly readings in it, and there is a kind of an instruction and a reflection that go with the readings, and there is a poem that the author's name is escaping me now, but it was beautiful, and it was really, I don't know if it was intentionally done, but it was kind of a beautiful reflection, which is sort of a summation of that psalm, be still and know that I am God. But it's this beautiful, beautiful poem. So I will post it. Father read it during Bible study. It was a great, great little reflection. So I think it all comes down to one of those things, maybe this Sunday as we approach the altar, of just being like, it's not so much am I doing the right thing, but maybe it's, am I doing what I'm doing for you, Lord? Am I serving out of love, or am I serving out of like a selfish desire to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it could, like maybe that, I don't know. You'll probably take something. That's what I was taking away as we were getting ready, but I'm excited to hear what Father comes up with for the homily. This is a great topic, and so pray with the picture, because what I love about this image, both images, is I think there's another side to this too, where it's like, notice when Martha is focusing on herself, there's hurt there. There's some woundedness of like, wait a second, I'm missing out. Rose talked about this in Bible study, just like that kind of FOMO, fear of missing out, where she's like, wait a second. And Jesus is like, I'm it, like you need one thing, and that thing is a person, and it's me, and again, like fast forward, and it's always so important to point this out for me. Martha is one of the heroes of the gospel, because Jesus doesn't really ask Mary, do you believe? Like, he asks Martha. Like, Martha's faith is amazing and like incredible. So anyway, that's our little bicker segment.
Well, what's really funny is that it takes us to the backside of the children's bulletin, which in the one site that I use, it has a prayer, a family prayer of "Help me be still."
Ooh.
So
and you had no idea. See, that's why this is so cool. Like, we don't talk about this before this moment.
Not at all.
It's so neat.
It's not at all. So there are lots of prayers out there to talking about being prayer to be still.
Yes.
But this is one that I was able to find. Yeah.
Well, I just love this line in here. It says, "You work before me, within me, in the majesty of creation and complexity of the created. I forget all you have done and continue to do." And then it goes on to talk about what some of those things are. Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, I think maybe as Catholics, that's the question kind of to come this weekend with is, do you like, are we aware of what Jesus is doing and that he is enough? Like, I literally just made a walk around the church about this on Monday. Jesus has been like, because I keep being like, Lord, what are we doing? Like, what's the goal? What's the future? In my life, and I've been having a lot of anxiety, and Jesus' response to all of that, if I put it into words, like a catchy catchphrase, because I like to do that, is ready, set, peace.
Yeah.
Not go. Like, ready, set, peace.
Peace.
And the go, it'll happen. Like, we're going to do stuff, but just that thing of just like, no, just everything that we do should come from Jesus. Like, that's the saintly goal that we're all failing at, that we keep striving to achieve. So pray with it. That's awesome. We started with the children's bulletin, so let's keep going. Why not? What else is in here?
Saint Christopher.
Ooh. He's like a saint that I like know, but know nothing about.
Correct. Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
because his story is very bizarre.
It's just weird because like I know who Saint Christopher is. Like my whole life, you hear Saint Christopher. He's one that confirmation kids pick a lot. But tell us about him because I don't know.
Exactly, and it says it in the story, and what I wrote here, there's a lot about stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, what are some of the things?
The one story of why he is always portrayed as holding a baby or a child is actually that he carried the Christ across
a river.
Across the river, a deep and treacherous river.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hero.
He was taught the Catholic faith from a monk. Yeah, and the small boy ended up being Jesus. That's, apparently the story, or, something like that. It's a very interesting. because nothing's like concrete. There's not like about stuff. So it's stories that have been passed down. Like so much of our.
When you look at like the
faith.
fruit of it, like at the end of the story, like you wrote, some believe that Christopher, like after this, then went and taught many people about the Christian faith and converted thousands. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, and that's kind of to feed into what we were just talking about. Like, why did God do what He did in your life? If God has been generous with you, are you then like, is the response, okay, I'm going to go do something now? Like you've sat with Jesus, you've gotten it. Are you then? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We have a phrase. I feel like we have a phrase about that at St. Jude's.
It's called revealing Jesus, but a little bit. But anyway, so, but I mean, it's very interesting because like again, like there's no eyewitness accounts. There's nothing like that was written. It's all kind of what was talked about. So anyway, it's a pretty long stuff there about St. Christopher. Read about him. He seems like a pretty interesting guy. He's a big, tall, strong man. That's basically what I got from it. So there's a lot of amazing stories about him, but carrying the Christ child is the main one and what we see a lot of. And then this week's Vacation Bible School kind of still goes along with that wanting to see Jesus and that being in His presence. And it's the story of Zacchaeus or Zacchaeus or whoever you say his name.
Zacchaeus is fine.
So
whatever.
That's how I always said it. Anyway, there's a funny story behind the picture of Levi and the French fries in here.
Yes.
But if we all looked at Jesus like Zacchaeus did from the tree, like we do in adoration.
Yes.
If we all looked at Jesus that way, we would, maybe feel how Levi does when he sees some French fries.
Well, and the moment was, I mean, and I jokingly have said it in a different way. I'll be like, there's the scripture where Jesus says to the woman at the well, He says, a time is coming when the Father will have true worshipers who will worship Him in spirit and truth. And then I will, as Levi, Father Ross's Chihuahua, sits at my feet while I eat fries. And I'm like, true worshipers. This is what that looks like. Mm-hmm. But then the other day, there were some fries sitting on my desk. And Father walked by, and that's where this moment happened, where Levi was looking at them like Luke Skywalker, like willing the lightsaber to come to,
That's how he looks at
just looking at fries,
French fries.
And and Father just said, "Oh, Levi, if only the faithful would long for Jesus the way you long for fries." And it's like really hard to write that down because it's like, it's weird sound, but the way Father is just like a yearning and Levi has that. So we hope that we all hunger for Jesus.
But it's it's the story of who do you invite to the table for dinner, and are they longing for that to be in the presence of Jesus in whatever way, shape and form that is, as a French fry, as the body of Christ. As Zacchaeus did as he was watching Him from a tree.
Well, this just
are we looking at that? How are we looking to have that person come?
This just falls into the theme. You've been invited to invite other people. Like that's kind of in the Big Kid Bulletin as well, which we'll get to. But like the thing about Zacchaeus that I love is that it's not just that he wants to like. It says he wanted to see Jesus, but the way that he reacts when Jesus sees him, because Jesus is like, Zacchaeus, like, come down from the tree. I'm having dinner at your house. Like the way that Zacchaeus responds to that is kind of like Abraham, like that he goes full blown party. Like, okay, let's go. And what's so interesting about this is that Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus, but ultimately Zacchaeus didn't want to see Jesus. He wanted to be seen by Jesus. Like Zacchaeus wanted to be seen. He wanted to be known. And that's kind of where all of us, I think, are at. Like we'll come back to that page in a second because it kind of doesn't really fit into what we're saying. But, to kind of go to sort of the back page here, if you will.
It's actually Uno's tip of the week.
That's kind of where I was going. It's like page whatever. But Uno's tip of the week is that, like, does your list and God's list match? It's a little exercise that I was told to do by a former spiritual director of mine, Monsignor Bible, God rest him. So just make a list. There's just a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and be honest, with what you know about Jesus, what you've learned in your life. What are his priorities? What would he be interested in you doing? And write that down. And then on your side, the other side, write down your list of priorities, what you think is the most important thing in your life. And you'll find that, like, for me, I still do this, and I always find inconsistencies. Like, I put this, I think this is more important than I should, like, for example, the last time I did this, I found that I was focusing way too much on me time. Like, self-care is important, but I was sacrificing relationships and things that needed to be done because I needed a break. And then when I did that and I found, like, this isn't right, like, I was so edified by the task way more than the selfishness, so little things like that. And it says in here as well, if you find yourself being like, I don't really know what God wants from me. Like, we obviously won't, like, we're not going to be like prophets and be like, okay, this is what God wants, but we can point you in the right direction, so if that's something that you'd like to talk about, cool. But this last thing there, we invite you to bring someone with you to celebrate the Mass with us next weekend, and all are welcome. So it's an invitation to invite, and that's kind of where all this boils down to. It's like, once you've experienced the Lord, how are you going to share that with someone else who also needs that experience? Mm-hmm. So revealing Jesus, all of that stuff. And it doesn't matter. Like, that's why we put in that parish prayer across generations and cultures. If your grandchild hasn't been to church in a while, invite them to come with you. If your grandparents have wandered away from the faith and you're coming to Mass, invite them with your family. Be great. Yeah. So, but going back then to be all businessy and official, Erie Gives Day is coming up. Day, right? We're excited about it.
Yeah, we are gonna just continue on with our pledge of making the classrooms and stuff over in the school. Functional for all of our students. So we have, nice functional chairs for our students and our people here in the church side, but we want to give all those students a new experience with new things that way. So we are looking to still.
How many classrooms was it? One or two?
One classroom and a
like that library room or whatever.
Yeah, gathering space type area, and then we got podiums for all the all the rooms. So, most of the rooms. But
and I'll just say this: it's not to be self-serving, like we're not like, but like for real, like when you come into a space that it looks, it's not just it's new. But when you come into a space where it's like you have things that are functional, it does make a difference, in your mentality, and it does help. So if that's something that the Lord puts on your heart to give on that day, please do. We're really looking to improve those classrooms.
Right.
So
and then we still have a little ways to go on that CSA. I know we got started late for different reasons here, but yeah, I mean, that is, part of our goal. I mean, even if you don't want to pledge, but you want to give, the envelopes are in the pews and you can just drop some cash in there and we'll put it into the CSA as amount given to the CSA, which is greatly appreciated. And
then, of course, the last thing for money, because there's two things. The third thing is this weekend there is a second collection being taken up for national needs. That is a combination of two other collections. There was an article or a letter, from Bishop Persico explaining that. I put a little excerpt of that in here. It's a combination of the Black and Indian mission collections that have been put together for this. So this is helping to evangelize, provide resources for those communities. So please be generous. We also have July's Child Protection and Creating Safe Environments blurb in there, as well as the stewardship stuff. We want to pray for the family of Patty Schnakel, where her funeral is here this week. So she was, lovely person, wonderful parishioner, and congrats last week to Mary, little Mary, she got baptized, and that was awesome. So,
and what was awesome was all of the kids that were at the baptism. I was getting ready to leave, but as I was walking by, all the kids were trying to get up on the altar, and Father Ross is like, "Just come up here."
Yeah. Well, and that was hilarious because I was cleaning up, and getting ready to lock up the church and stuff, and it was so funny to watch, like the decorum just start to like fall apart, and your Father Ross, like, guys, it's
come on
fine.
Up, come up
come
and
closer,
see.
come closer. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful witness, and so yeah, thank you to our fearless leader for that. That was awesome. St. Stephen is having their parish festival on August 24th. The time is not in this flyer because they hadn't come up with it yet. So there will be flyers lying around and probably in next week's bulletin that do have the time, 1 to 5 p.m. that day. And then, of course, we're really excited to host once again the Community Blood Bank. This was in the bulletin last week, so I hope it's already on your calendar. But if it's not, here's another opportunity to carve out some time, hopefully on that day, July 29th, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. to come and give blood. I was reading a little bit there. I mean, it's kind of redundant because I feel like we always need more, but there is a little bit of a shortage this summer.
Yeah.
They were saying. So if you are feeling generous, literally, blood is life. We talked about this in last week's podcast. But it's just it's a good reminder. Like you're literally, giving life to someone else. In a physical, literal sense. So if you can, please do. And
some other festivals and stuff in the city that are pretty popular. St. Paul's Italian Festival and the Zawawa Polish Festival are both coming up in August. So mark your calendars for that. If you got the joys of celebrating with our Greek Orthodox friends last weekend, that was fun. I went down there. I think you went did you go down to have some food or no?
I did not.
No.
Unfortunately, this year, most other years I have, but this year did not work out. So
I went to the Greek Fest one day, and then I headed way out on the other side of town and went to the Cherry Fest another day.
Hey, no, that's one of the. It's funny because when I moved to Erie a decade ago, the first thing that people said to me, because I moved here at the end of August, so it's funny because everyone was like, "Oh, you missed all the festivals." Like I was like,
there's still actually a couple that happened in September.
Yes. There's still a couple, but
not many.
But
you're getting close to the end.
I just remember that was literally the first thing people said. Oh, you missed Zabawa, you missed all these. So I mean,
I've actually never been to the Polish festival. The Italian festival is almost like a family reunion at times, but it's fun that way too.
That is fun. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you're still watching, thank you. And we have a few fun ideas coming down the pipeline for different things going on in the parish, but also on the podcast and different things. So if you have any comments or ideas, please let us know. I just had a couple of ladies this morning came up to me because they did not realize that Mary and Martha from this story, because it doesn't say Lazarus' sisters, but it's pretty clear that it is them. And they said they didn't realize that that's who that was. And that kind of changed the whole mindset then of the Lazarus story, because look at Martha now, in the Lazarus story from before, and it's kind of a neat thing. And they said that would be a cool Bible study. And I said, cool, when are you guys leading it? And they were
yesterday.
Like, and no, but what was beautiful was they didn't shy away and say, oh, well, then never mind. They looked at each other and they both went, we could do that. So if you have something that you're like, what, this is on my heart, this is how, Jesus is asking me to reveal him, come talk to us about it.
Good news, Tim. Yesterday, sitting at Let's Hang Out with some of the ladies, they are possibly interested in watching The Chosen with you and I. So
we love The Chosen.
We love The Chosen. And we may have to start at the beginning for some people, but I'm
okay with that.
I
do.
All things start at the beginning.
They do. I do love the first season. I thought it was interesting, and this kind of goes with what we were talking about. We can wrap it up this way. It's just kind of a fun thing how I had a lot of friends who loved season 1 of The Chosen and didn't like season 2.
Sure.
And the reason that they didn't like season 2 is because that's when it started to get real. The disciples started to fight with each other. They disagreements started happening. Difficulties started happening.
Oh, life.
Life started happening. And I remember having a conversation with some of them at the time when it had come out, and I just said, why? And because I work for the church, so I'm like not surprised by this. And they just said, well, I don't like that. And I said, well, then what you like isn't real. Like, Jesus does not promise us like this whole like, woohoo, happy-go-lucky.
Sunshine and roses.
No, like it's not that.
No.
But he does promise us peace. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about, in this Sunday's gospel. My presence is enough. You're with me. He says that a bunch of times in the gospel. So maybe pray with that, and I hope that this bulletin and this podcast has given you some thoughts, some tools maybe to think about, to pray about. I know I have a few things to pray about now. So, and get to know St. Christopher. Like I said, I'll post that poem that Father read on social media shortly, and just spend some time with the Lord. Ready, set, peace. There you go.
All right.
All right. God bless you.
We'll see ya.
Where's the button? There it is.